All right, welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving into a classic piece of literature today that, honestly, I think you're going to find surprisingly relatable. We're exploring Thomas Hardy's famous poem, Weathers. Let's jump right in and see exactly how a 19th century poet perfectly captured a feeling that, well, we all still experience today. So before we even look at the text, I want you to think about this for a second. Does a rainy day ruin your mood? Seriously, think about it. When you wake up, you look out the window and it's gray, pouring rain, and absolutely freezing outside. Do you just want to pull the covers up and stay in bed? And then on the flip side, when it's sunny and warm, do you suddenly just have this massive burst of energy? Well, if your own emotions and energy levels shift when the weather outside changes, you are definitely not alone. Thomas Hardy felt the exact same way.
World 1. The Joy of Spring.
Okay, in this first half of the poem, Hardy paints this incredible picture of a world just waking up. Stanza 1 completely celebrates the freshness, the joy, and the hope of the spring season. He talks about the cuckoo liking the weather, the nightingales singing. It's just this vibrant, living scene. It's the kind of bright, fast-paced, lively day that just makes you feel incredibly alive and optimistic.
He uses some really specific vocabulary to build this vibe, starting with the word showers. Now, these aren't gloomy, destructive storms, right? These are brief, light falls of rain. They bring life and freshness back to the earth, kind of just washing everything clean and prepping it for new growth. And what do those spring showers do? Well, they betumble the chestnut spikes. Let's break down this fun 19th century word for a second. To betumble basically means to tumble about or throw into a sort of playful disorder. So the light rain is just playfully shaking and scattering the flower spikes of the chestnut tree. It's gentle, it's lively, and it's not destructive in the slightest. And of course, spring brings new life. Hardy specifically mentions nestlings. These are baby birds that are still in the nest. In this joyful weather, they're finally getting ready to take their very first flights. It's this beautiful season of beginnings and endless possibilities. So the real takeaway from this first stanza is how literally everyone and everything is just soaking up this beautiful weather. Look at these highlights. The little brown nightingale sings its absolute best. People are happily sitting outside at a local spot called the Traveler's Rest. The maids come out dressed in sprig muslin, which is this really light cotton cloth with a small floral pattern. And the citizens are daydreaming of traveling to the warm south and west. I mean, it is the ultimate spring fever. But as we all know, things change. We transition from spring, which is all joy, light, and being outside, to winter, which is characterized by gloom, darkness, and really just wanting to stay inside. Notice how the feeling in the air just drops here? The rhythm of the poem gets heavier, and the pace, well, it slows right down.
World 2. The Gloom of Winter.
We are definitely leaving the sunny outdoors behind now, entering a harsh, stormy autumn and winter landscape that forms a much darker, much more intense world in the second stanza. Notice how the imagery completely shifts on us here. We're no longer looking at blossoming trees and flying baby birds. Instead, we see beech tree branches being beaten and bent. Hardy uses the phrase thresh and ply by the heavy wind and rain. It is a harsh, totally unforgiving environment. The weather is so awful, in fact, that Hardy says the shepherd shuns it. To shun means to actively avoid or keep away from something. Now, think about that for a second. A shepherd is a tough, outdoorsy guy who works out in nature literally all day. If even the shepherd actively avoids this weather, you know it is absolutely miserable out there. And the colors of the world? Yeah, they're completely gone. The trees drip in browns and duns. I really want to highlight this word duns. A dun is a dull, grayish-brown color. So all those vibrant greens and bright floral patterns of spring, they have completely faded away into sad, dull, muddy browns and duns. The entire energy of the poem shifts too. Hardy starts using intense, heavy vocabulary like throb. To throb means to beat or pulse strongly. He describes hill-hid tides that throb, throw on throw. Now, a throw is a violent spasm or a pang of pain. So we get this violent, aggressive pulse of the hidden waters, mimicking a rhythmic, physical pain. It's this heavy, pounding alliteration that makes you literally feel the weight of the storm. Because of all this intense, pounding rain, the rivulets, you know those small little streams in the meadows, they completely overflow. There is just way too much water. It's so bad that drops of rain hang in a row on the farm gates, and birds, like the rooks, they don't sing. They just flee homeward in families to escape the storm. Literally everyone is retreating.
Section 3. The core anchor.
Okay, let's shift focus to what is arguably the most important phrase in the entire poem. It's the core anchor that magically connects these two totally contrasting worlds of spring and winter. And that phrase is, "and so do I." Just let that sink in. And so do I. Hardy places this refrain at the 2nd and 9th lines of both stanzas. This refrain is the structural anchor of the poem. It creates rhythm, it creates unity, and it ties his own personal internal experience directly to the external world he's observing.
Honestly, if we had to playfully translate Hardy's 19th century refrain into modern teen slang, he's basically just saying, I feel exactly the same way. #relatable, right? When the cuckoo loves the spring, he says, I feel that. When the shepherd hates the winter storm, he says, same. He is simply agreeing with the changing moods of nature.
Part 4, nature mirrors our feelings.
So this brings everything together to the central theme of this explainer. We are not separate from the environment around us. We are a part of it. Human moods are deeply and undeniably connected to nature's moods. The poet feels joyful, energetic, and alive in the spring, just like the cuckoo and the nightingale. But then, when the storm hits, he feels withdrawn, low, and just wants to hide away, exactly like the shepherd and the rooks. The changing seasons symbolize our inner emotional states. Now, to help you actually apply this knowledge, let's walk through a quick cheat sheet of literary devices. This is going to help you easily tackle your SEE pattern exercises. First up, the refrain, and so do I. The effect here is that it links the poet's feelings directly to each season. Second, contrast, stanza 1 versus stanza 2. This perfectly highlights the massive difference between joy and gloom. And third, personification, phrases like citizen's dream or rooks in family's homeward go. This gives nature human-like warmth and behavior, making the connection between us and the natural world incredibly clear. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, thought-provoking question. Look outside your window right now. Which of the two weathers do you identify with most today? Are you feeling the vibrant, fresh energy of a spring shower, or maybe the heavy, withdrawn gloom of a winter storm? Take a moment to reflect on your own mood today and see how nature might just be reflecting it right back at you.